My vote doesn't make a difference here. And every year the legislature passes a bunch of crazy bills. There are a lot of Christians who want to move out of the state where they live. And there are some good reasons to move. But in this series, I'm challenging followers of Jesus to examine their motivations for moving. One bad reason why we might want to move is that we overemphasize political power. Before I became a pastor, I thought I wanted to be a politician. Today, I still nerd out over all sorts of political topics. And at this point, I doubt that I ever will run for public office. But God does call His people to be active in political spaces. I mean, we might think of the prophet Daniel, who served in the Babylonian government in the Old Testament. Being politically active as a follower of the Lord can actually be a wonderful way to love our neighbors. In Matthew chapter 5, Jesus calls His followers to be salt and light in the world. Salt functions as a preservative. It slows decay. Just like a lamp put under a basket is useless, salt left in the salt shaker won't preserve anything. One of the roles that Christians have in society is to help limit the social and moral decay around us. Now, we might think that if we don't have political power, we can't be salt and light. But that just isn't true. The early Christians had no political power. They were a persecuted minority. And yet that didn't stop them from living out their faith in the pagan culture where they lived. They rescued babies that were abandoned to die. They raised money to buy freedom for slaves. Our lack of political power shouldn't stop us from doing the things that God calls us to do either. Political activism isn't the only path that we have to influence our culture positively. There's so much good that we can do as Christians even when we are not represented in government. Now, don't get me wrong. I wish that more people in our government agreed with me about more things. But my most important goal in life is to be a faithful follower of Jesus, and I don't need the state's permission to do that. I can do that no matter where I live. Instead of asking, do the politicians in my state agree with me? I think followers of Jesus should ask, is this a place where I can be salt and light? And the truth is, dark, decaying places desperately need salt and light. You know, Christians generously give money to missionaries who live across the world in dangerous and uncomfortable places. And we do this because we believe that God wants to rescue people in those places. Well, is it possible that God might call you to stay in an expensive, uncomfortable place because He wants to rescue people here? When healthy Christians leave a place, they often create a moral vacuum. Society decays and corruption increases when Christians check out. God expects us to use the resources and relationships He's given us to bless those around us. So commit to a local church and show the love of Christ to the community where you live. Don't underestimate the good you can do when you stay, and don't assume that you need political power to faithfully follow Jesus in that place.